All right, check on that, and our day and week is definitely made. And thank you again to our viewers. Let's move on with that to our story of the day. In today's segment, let's decode all you need to know about liquid nitrogen. Now, a cloud of smoke on a desert or a drink may certainly look very tempting, but can it be fatal? Liquid nitrogen has been in the Indian culinary scene for a long time now, but particularly picked up after several programs like MasterChef, etc. started using it. Chefs are using it, mixologists in India are using it as well. However, along with the rise in popularity of liquid nitrogen, there has been a rise in the incidents as well. Remember the horrific incident from Gurugram where 5 individuals fell critically ill after consuming what they thought was actually a mouth freshener at a restaurant following a dinner. In Bengaluru, a 12-year-old ate a liquid nitrogen pan and ended up getting a hole in their stomach. And as a result of these incidents, states like Karnataka, Haryana, Tamil Nadu have banned liquid nitrogen. The question we then have to answer on TBC today is, can liquid nitrogen really turn out to be hazardous or even lethal? Is it going to have an extreme negative impact on our health? Let's start with exactly telling you, hai kya liquid nitrogen? What is it? We take you back to the science classroom to understand that nitrogen, remember, abundantly present in our Earth's atmosphere. It is colorless, odorless. It is represented by the symbol N in our chemistry charts, if you'll remember. Liquid nitrogen is simply nitrogen that has taken the form of a liquid state from its gaseous state. What does it really do then? Well, essentially, it helps in rapid freezing and retention of flavors. So liquid nitrogen can freeze food instantly, which helps in preserving the texture of the food as well. So for example, desserts or at a very basic level, ice creams and sorbets, they can all be readied instantly. Also, it's massively used for turning food into a theatrical illusion and a spectacle as well. For example, mousse cocktails or food dishes come cocktails, all of them, these restaurants, Michelin stars, fine dining, etc., they all use liquid nitrogen. But there are various industrial uses of rapid liquid nitrogen as well. For example, temporarily freezing a section of a pipe to sort of prevent the spilling. Medical use is as well for cryosurgeries subjected to tumors or warts into extreme cold or for their removal. It is also in a way used to conserve or store semen. This technology is crucial for sperm banks, remember. But, all this gyan that I'm giving you is what liquid nitrogen actually does. What concerns us, however, is, and where it is in direct contact with us, the consumers, is the food department. Now, experts are largely saying that while liquid nitrogen itself might not be a hazard, what its mishandling while cooking can lead to major health issues. And that's the reason why FSSAI has now rolled out an advisory. They are saying that liquid nitrogen, which is illicitly being used directly at the point of serving or plating, is not going to be allowed, as this is not intended purpose, and the technological use of the additive shall be considered as non-compliance by the food business doing so. So imagine you're being served and they drop in that liquid nitrogen. It turns out to be a great theatrical experience. FSSAI is saying, don't do that. But let's try and understand this in a little bit of more detail with our guest. Dr. Pranav Srinivasan is with us. He is a surgical gastroenterology from the Fortis Hospital in Bengaluru. He joins us this morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for taking out the time, Dr. Pranav.
Good morning.
My first question really is... Thank you. So our first question really is, liquid nitrogen, is the chemical composition changing of the food? Is that happening at all? Or can we say that the use of liquid nitrogen is not impacting the quality of food at all? It could be changing the state only.
Yeah. So liquid nitrogen does not usually alter the chemical composition of the food. It mainly alters the physical state and texture. So what it does is it preserves nutrients, prevents degradation of the food by enzymes, and reduces the ability of bacteria to make the food stale. So as such, it does not alter the chemical composition of food. So with normal slow refrigeration, what happens is that there's formation of ice crystals because of which the quality of food changes. With liquid nitrogen, because it acts so fast, there's no alteration in any of the chemical composition of the food.
Okay. And one would say so, right? Because if that is being used to sort of freeze embryos and sperms and that retained life, then one can safely say that the nutrients could also be retained. It's not impacting, it's not changing anything chemically in the product where it is being used. So the next question then, Dr. Pranav, is that the exposure to liquid nitrogen, the fumes and also direct exposure, how can that impact our body?
So liquid nitrogen is basically nitrogen at around minus 196 degrees, which is an extremely cold temperature. So like how heat can destroy tissue, even extreme cold can destroy tissue. So basically liquid nitrogen acts on the body in many ways. It basically affects the skin and the eyes, the respiratory tract and the digestive system. When it comes in direct contact with skin and eyes, it can cause blisters, burns, and in severe cases, even frostbite. Sometimes it can lead to even skin death, which might need amputations. When it is ingested, it can cause burning of the mucosal lining of the respiratory tract, which is a very sensitive layer lining the respiratory system and the digestive system. So what happens is that it can lead to burns in the respiratory system. When ingested, which is when taken orally, which is what happened in the Bengaluru incident of the 12-year-old girl, liquid nitrogen destroys the lining of the stomach, food pipe and the small intestine, making a hole. So what happens is normally all the food materials, the acid, everything is contained inside the safe zone of the stomach, the intestines. So when this is opened up, it leads to something called as a perforation, where all the contents of the bacterial-laden contents are spilled in outside the stomach, and this reaches the blood, and then finally it results in septicemia, which is bacteria reaching the bloodstream, and then finally it can lead to death. So if there's a perforation, we have to act quickly. It might need emergency surgery to either repair the hole or remove the diseased organ.
But Dr. Pranav, tell me this. We see a lot of fine dining places, we see a lot of Michelin star restaurants, not just in India but across the globe, use liquid nitrogen for various reasons really, and in desserts, in other places as well. So what are they doing right and what do we have to stay away from?
So liquid nitrogen has many industrial applications. One of them is in the food and beverage industry, and with the rise of social media, everyone wants to have great culinary experiences. So what it does, it adds a very smoky, foggy feel. It's a great visual experience, we all like it. But the thing is, the way it is handled and the safety measures that are taken, there have to be a lot of education on it. And it is imperative to let the nitrogen cool down for a sufficient period of time before consuming it. That makes it a lot safer.
Okay, so a lot of people are not allowing it to cool down and turn into vapor, and that's the reason why this is actually happening. So mishandling is actually leading to these cases as well. So Dr. Pranav, can you tell me this? Then the other substances that are used, say dry ice, which is also very popular in restaurants these days, is that safe?
So compared to liquid nitrogen, which is around minus 196, 197 degrees, dry ice is around minus 180 degrees. So that comparatively is, I would not say safe, but less risky. Even dry ice can cause burns and all the effects that I described. The safest would be to heavily regulate both of these and use slow refrigeration processes and create safe dining experiences for everybody.
Dr. Pranav, all the chefs and mixologists watching you right now will not be very happy Are you saying not use it at all, or are you saying use it with only the best practices?
Yeah, so what I was saying is it's better to be heavily regulated rather than trying to outright ban it. So best safety practices should be followed.
Okay. Okay.
Everyone
Dr.
has
Pranav,
to be
thank you so
trained,
much for joining
educated,
us.
and then only use it.
Yeah. I think you're right. You're saying that it has to be heavily sort of monitored and ensure that best practices are followed, and that should be the way forward. Thank you so much, Dr. Pranav, for joining us with that perspective.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.